Okay, the next item will be presentation. Here, Valentino Pier.
My name is Tulon Din. I'm with the RBA Group. I will be presenting the Valentino Pier Connectors section on behalf of DDC and DOT this evening. Thank you so much for being with us today. This is a brief presentation. I'll try to get through it, so if you could just hold all your questions till the end, I think we'll be able to
Don't tell them stuff.
we'll
It's all up to you.
be able
Let me
to
know when you're
answer
ready.
better. Thank you very much. A couple things I'll be highlighting in this presentation. I'll be covering a little bit about the Greenway Master Plan, project location, scope and objectives, existing conditions, some concerns that we had during the design phase, the preliminary design phase, the schematic interim design, and the project timeline, where we are today. No, you're fine. Sorry, I'm going to. There are 4 waterfronts in the Brooklyn Waterfront Greenway. Greenpoint Williamsburg Waterfront, downtown Brooklyn, Red Hook Waterfront, where the Valentino Pier project is located, and at the south part of Brooklyn, Sunset Park Waterfront. The project limits for Valentino Pier project is Ferris Street at Van Dyke to King Street, and Beard Street at Conover and just east of Dyke Street, about 200 feet. A couple of key facilities that I'd like to point out are the couple of parks that are in the project location, project area. Louis Valentino Jr. Park, Coffee Park, Erie Basin Park, the Fairway with pedestrian and seating area, and Red Hook Community Park. All very close to each other. I want to explain a little bit about the scope of the project. What this presentation is primarily about is the interim proposed design, which is putting 2-way bikeway lanes at the waterfront side of the street, a 4-foot tree pit or a possibility of a green infrastructure location, 2-way travel lane, and parking on the other side. That's what this presentation will be about. The long-term proposed design is dependent on future development in the area. And with the future developers coming in, there's the possibility and opportunity to move the greenway towards the waterfront side, and the option of putting the parking lane back to a 2-way and parking lane on both sides. I just want to make that clear. Some objectives we have, the objectives and goals: improve pedestrian and cyclist safety, connecting the existing Esplanade at Red Hook to the Erie Basin Park, and implementing sustainable design at every opportunity that we could. These are some photos of the existing conditions. I don't know if everyone can see, but at Ferris Street and between Coffee and Dykeman Street, there's no existing sidewalk. This is a picture of the roadway at Ferris Street at Dykeman Street, and it's cobblestone mixed with asphalt. The road is in poor condition. Again, on Ferris Street at Wolcott, I don't know if you can see, but the sidewalks are in poor condition, and no current sidewalk at Ferris Street and King Street. On Beard Street, this shows the asphalt and cobblestone mix. Again, roadway both in poor condition, and no existing sidewalk here on Beard Street between Van Brunt and Richard Street looking southeast. Beard Street again, sidewalk is in poor state, and the roadway right here on Beard Street at Richard Street. A couple concerns that we had while designing the preliminary design is always to enhance the safety of pedestrians and cyclists. Facility access, how are we getting to these playgrounds? How are families and pedestrians getting there safely and easily in the area? Narrowing the traffic lane is one of, it's a documented traffic calming measure. It's used to create safety throughout the environment of the roadway. Truck turns, this is a zoned manufacturing, commercial with some residential areas. And we want to make sure that there's adequate space for drivers to make the turns in the area and that they can easily see cyclists or pedestrians in the area. And also keeping in mind the future development that's to come in this project location. This is Ferris Street, the south part of Ferris at Dyke Street. As you can see here is the two-way bikeway on the waterfront side. Going north, again, the continuous two-way bikeway. And I'd like to point out that the existing travel on Ferris Street is all two-way up until we reach between Sullivan and King Street. In this interim design, we're proposing that it'll be two-way throughout all of Ferris Street. And this is just a typical section and what would be constructed out there. On Beard Street, again, this is at Conover on the east side, starting at Conover. Existing conditions between Conover and Van Brent is one-way northwest. We are proposing this section to be a two-way. And the rest of Beard Street going towards IKEA is two-way as well. And then you can see the proposed two-way bikeways on the waterfront side of Beard Street with the 4-foot standard trees or escalated green infrastructure in that location. Going further towards IKEA, just continuing that two-way bikeway. And then here's that, I believe this is the driveway to IKEA, and then just is the end of the project when it's at Dyke Street, just a couple hundred feet beyond that, connecting to this existing bike lane. Typical section of Beard Street, the two-way bike lane on the waterfront side, and two travelway parking. This is the project timeline. In the last 18 months was when was the development of this preliminary design. Subsurface research happened earlier this year, and then the schematic geometric design, the interim design, was approved September last month. And this is where we are today at the completion of preliminary design. In conclusion, I just want to state that the Valentino Pier connector section is consistent with the Brooklyn Waterfront Master Plan, optimizes vehicle, pedestrian, bicycle usage throughout the roadway, and it connects the existing community facilities. So I'd like to open it up to any questions that anyone may
Put some
have.
light on this one. Jerry.
I'm not sure where to start. On Beard Street, between Van Brunt and IKEA or Richard Street, White Street,
You want the light up here?
are you going to be changing the parking regulations on the south side of the street?
On the
There-
south side?
There are currently no parking regulations with the commercial buildings being rented out. You got lots of people parking there. You have the bus route.
Right.
So what are your plans for the parking regs?
The interim design currently is there will be no parking on the south side of Beard Street. We are proposing the two-way bikeway on the south side on the waterfront side. So
And
there's
are you
no
going to
parking.
be repaving it or putting it on the sidewalk?
The
The bikeway?
bikeway
Yeah.
will be, it won't be on the sidewalk.
So, I don't use a bike, but I'll tell you why I'm saying that. I know what it does to cars going down Beard Street heading east from Van Brunt, basically to IKEA. Cobblestones with holes, bumps, and missing,
Great.
and so on.
Well,
Are you intending to replace that lane with
we are
asphalt?
intending to, it's a roadway reconstruction. I apologize if I probably didn't
No, you didn't, that's why I'm
mention
asking.
that. I know, I'm sorry, I just noticed that all of the full roadway reconstruction for Ferris Street and Beard Street throughout the whole project, throughout the whole project
And
limits.
You're aware that,
That's correct, sir.
So you're aware that the community board years ago went on record with the community to keep cobblestones because of the historic nature of Red Hook?
I'm aware now.
Part of the problem is when you've been around long enough, you remember those motions that you voted on. Just like, yeah, we voted on something last night at the community board. Years ago, the community felt that some of the, in fact, on some of the intersections, you can see circular patterns in the cobblestones, that they were patterns in the roadway. And the community board went on record that we want the cobblestones left in Red Hook on the streets. So I don't know how that fits in with your design and your plans.
Well, that's why we're here. This is our first time presenting to the
Right.
community.
My name is Sean Macias. I work with the DOT. That's something we can.
Recognize my mate.
Oh, thank you. That is something we consider as part of the design. This full roadway reconstruction was going to remove the cobbles, but now that we have heard your assertion, it is something that we can take back.
There was a plan a number of years ago to just repave just the parking lanes and keep the cobblestones
Beneath.
on the travel lanes.
Okay.
So I'm just throwing that out as a possibility.
Sure.
It was there a few years ago, didn't get any traction.
Okay.
And basically I was going to ask the same thing on Ferris Street. Did you know that? And,
Right. So our plan is to fully reconstruct the roadway. Now we can definitely work in your suggestion to the plan. We did look into the historical nature of the neighborhood, and it's not, as you guys know, it's not a historical district. So DOT is not required to replace them in kind, but it is supports wishes. It absolutely.
DOT
something we can
just
consider.
did a restoration of cobblestones on Coffee Street between Ferris and Conover of significant dips and holes. And they marked some of the spots on Conover for future work. So someone at DOT knows something.
Sure. So the other thing that I want to mention about this plan is it is completely unfunded, and it is a preliminary design. So this is, it's all there. It's preliminary.
Good point is a good point to bring this up. Good time.